The best revenge. Transforming pain into personal growth. There comes a moment in every life when betrayal cuts deep, rejection stings hard, and pain knocks the wind out of our soul. In that moment, we stand at a crossroads, to shrink in bitterness or to rise in purpose. Let me tell you this: pain is not a prison, it is a platform. The best revenge is not in retaliation or proving others wrong. The best revenge is transformation, when you allow pain to push you into purpose, when wounds become wisdom, and when what was meant to break you becomes the very thing that builds you. Today, we won't just talk about pain, we will learn how to turn it into power. Pain is not your enemy, it's the midwife to your purpose. Pain, though unwanted, is one of life's greatest instructors. It shows up uninvited, through heartbreaks, disappointments, betrayals, and losses, but its presence carries a purpose greater than we often understand. Most people try to avoid pain at all costs, yet it's the very thing that introduces us to who we truly are. Pain reveals your potential by stripping away your comfort. It breaks down the false identities we build through convenience, and forces us to confront the deeper questions of who we are and why we're here. When handled correctly, pain becomes the midwife to purpose. It pulls something out of you that you didn't even know was inside. Diamonds are not formed in calm waters, and destinies are not birthed in easy places. They are formed under pressure, in the dark, in seasons where it feels like life has turned against you. Too many people mislabel pain as punishment, when in truth it can be a divine tool of preparation. When Joseph was thrown into the pit by his brothers, sold into slavery, and falsely imprisoned, it seemed like pain had become his life sentence. But what looked like betrayal was the exact path that led him to the palace. Without the pit, there is no throne. Without the false accusation, there is no opportunity to interpret Pharaoh's dream. Pain is not the end of your story. It's a part of your training ground. The purpose is not always seen in the moment, but pain has a way of forcing us to evolve, to grow, and to reach for something greater than survival. It teaches you to pray deeper, think wiser, and walk more carefully. Pain refines your focus and sharpens your priorities. When comfort is removed, clarity arrives. You begin to see who is really with you, what really matters, and what no longer deserves a place in your future. In fact, pain has a unique way of revealing what you've been ignoring. Some of the most powerful leaders, visionaries, and influencers did not begin their journey on a mountaintop. They were pushed into their calling by a crisis. They didn't volunteer for pain, but they didn't waste it either. The same pain that brought them to their knees also taught them how to stand. When you stop seeing pain as an enemy and start viewing it as a servant of purpose, everything changes. The question is not, why did this happen to me? But rather, what is this trying to reveal in me? That shift in thinking is where growth begins. It's not about glorifying pain, it's about extracting the gold from it. Growth is never accidental, it is always intentional. And transformation begins when you stop running from pain and start mining the purpose within it. Moreover, pain births compassion. You'll never be able to help people you cannot feel. When you've walked through pain, you develop empathy. You speak differently, lead differently, love differently. The arrogance of success is broken by the humility of suffering, and that brokenness is not weakness, it's wisdom. It makes you approachable, relatable, and authentic. People don't follow perfection. They follow scars that healed. So while others may use pain to justify bitterness or self-pity, you can use it to develop depth and strength. When you let pain push you deeper into your purpose, you walk with a kind of power that can't be manufactured. It's earned. In many cases, pain doesn't come to kill you. It comes to kill what's been holding you back. Sometimes it's the ego, pride, toxic relationships, or limiting beliefs that have become so comfortable they feel like identity. But pain exposes them. It rips off the mask. It breaks the illusion. Pain confronts you with the truth and gives you the opportunity to change. And every time you face it with courage, something inside you gets stronger. You begin to develop spiritual muscles, emotional intelligence, and mental toughness. You become the kind of person who doesn't just survive storms, you rise in them. That's why the best revenge is not lashing out, not getting even, not proving people wrong. It's becoming unrecognizably transformed. Let your growth do the talking. Let your peace confuse the people who expected you to crumble. Let your fruit speak louder than your pain, because the truth is, those who hurt you never had the power to define you. Pain may have introduced itself through people, but its permission comes from purpose. And when you choose to respond with growth, healing, and self-mastery, you take back control of your story. You stop being a victim of your pain and become a steward of your purpose. So, no, pain is not your enemy. It's not the end of your dreams or the destruction of your future. It is the doorway to a version of yourself you've never met. Don't waste it. Don't numb it. Don't rush past it. Sit with it, learn from it, and rise through it. Because in the fire of pain, your real identity is forged. And when the process is complete, you'll look back and thank the very thing that once made you weep. Because it didn't just hurt you, it helped birth you. And that is the beginning of becoming unstoppable. The graveyard of offense is where greatness is often buried. Resurrect yours through growth. Offense is a silent assassin. It doesn't scream, it doesn't shout, but it strangles potential slowly and surely. One moment you're walking in purpose, and the next you're stuck, mentally replaying what they did, what they said, and how they made you feel. Offense builds invisible walls around your heart. It doesn't just block people out, it locks your destiny in. Many gifted, anointed, and intelligent individuals have not failed because they lacked talent, but because they couldn't overcome the offense. Offense, when left unchecked, becomes a coffin. Dreams die in it. Purpose is buried under it, and yet the world keeps spinning, the clock keeps ticking, and the offended remain in spiritual and emotional paralysis, alive, but not living. This is why the offense must be confronted, not coddled. You can't grow and stay offended. The two cannot coexist. What makes offense so dangerous is that it often feels justified. You were wronged. They betrayed you. They mishandled your loyalty. And yes, the pain is real. But just because it's real doesn't mean it has the right to rule you. Growth begins when you choose freedom over feelings, and let's be clear. Freedom is not a feeling, it's a decision. You have to choose to release even when your emotions are screaming for revenge. The longer you nurture offense, the more it becomes part of your identity. It disguises itself as self-protection, but in reality, it's self-sabotage. When you hold on to offense, you're not punishing the one who hurt you. You're delaying your own elevation. You are giving the offender permanent residence in a place they were only meant to pass through. Forgiveness, then, is not for them, it's for you. It's how you dig up what offense tried to bury. You have to understand that offense is not just about personal feelings, it is a direct assault on your future. It distracts you from the vision, clouds your focus, and consumes energy that was meant for building. You can't build and stay bitter. You can't lead and stay offended. Leadership demands a level of maturity that offense cannot survive in. There are some doors that will never open until you learn to release the pain of what happened behind the last one. You cannot afford to let offense rob you of your next. Some people remain emotionally stuck in moments that happened 10 years ago because they made the offense their identity. They don't know who they are without the pain. But if you are going to resurrect what offense buried, you must first bury the offense. And understand this, Being offended is inevitable, but living offended is a choice. Jesus was betrayed, mocked, spat on, and crucified by the very people he came to save, and still said, "Father, forgive them." Not because they deserved it, but because forgiveness is about alignment with purpose. If he had chosen offense, redemption would have died with him. If you choose offense, your purpose could die with your pride. Offense narrows your world until all you can see is what they did to you. But growth opens your eyes and says, "They may have hurt me, but they cannot have me. They may have knocked me down, but they will not keep me down. My destiny is bigger than their disrespect." Some of the most bitter people you'll ever meet are not bad people. They're hurt people who built houses where they were only meant to walk through. They set up residence in rejection. They got comfortable in betrayal. They built routines around old wounds. But if offense becomes your permanent address, don't expect purpose to be your neighbor. The two don't live in the same space. You have to evict offense so that freedom has room to move in. Your calling is too critical, your voice too vital, and your legacy too large to stay small because of offense. The truth is, sometimes offense becomes an excuse not to grow. It gives us a reason to stay stuck. I can't trust again. I can't lead again. I can't love again. But that's not growth talking. That's fear dressed in pain, and if you don't confront it, you'll pass it on. Offense doesn't just damage you. It spills into your relationships, your leadership, your parenting, your creativity. It leaks until everything is contaminated by what someone else did. But when you choose to grow, you stop letting what happened back then determine who you are becoming now. You take the shovel, dig up the graveyard, and say, "Not today. My greatness will not be buried here." Growth demands that you process the offense, not personalize it. You may not have deserved the hurt, but you do deserve the healing. You deserve the opportunity to live fully, lead freely, and walk in the fullness of your potential. That means choosing to grow past what offended you. It means understanding that what they did was about them, but how you respond is about you. You cannot control who hurt you, but you can control who you become after the hurt. That's the power of growth. That's the real revenge. When you rise with clarity, with joy, with purpose, the offense loses its grip. So today, make the decision to let it go. Not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. Your future matters more. Your peace matters more. Don't let offense sit in the driver's seat of your destiny. Take back the wheel, bury the bitterness, and dig up your greatness. Resurrect what offense tried to kill: your voice, your dreams, your strength. The grave may have closed over your confidence, but growth has the power to roll away the stone. You are not what they did. You are what you decide to become, and today you choose resurrection over ruin. That is how greatness lives again. Your response to betrayal will either birth bitterness or build destiny betrayal. Few words carry as much emotional weight, and few experiences cut as deep. It is a wound that doesn't just pierce the heart, it rattles the soul. Betrayal rarely comes from enemies. It comes from those we trusted, loved, invited into our sacred spaces. That's what makes it so devastating. The pain of betrayal is not just about what was done, but about who did it. And in that moment, when your heart is shattered, your name is slandered, your loyalty is returned with disloyalty, you're faced with a decision. Will I allow this betrayal to make me bitter, or will I let it build me into someone stronger, wiser, and more powerful than before? Because make no mistake, betrayal will come, but destiny is shaped not by what happens to you, but by how you respond to it. There is no great destiny without deep betrayal. Look through history, scripture, and leadership, and you will see a consistent thread. Betrayal is often the door to elevation. Joseph could never have reached the palace without first being betrayed by his brothers. David could not wear the crown without first being hunted by Saul, a man he served faithfully. Even Jesus could not fulfill his purpose on the cross without being betrayed by Judas. It's a pattern that teaches us something profound. Betrayal is often the final test before promotion. It reveals your character, tests your patience, and refines your purpose. The person who betrayed you may have thought they were ending something, but in the unseen realm, they were activating something. Sometimes the kiss of Judas is what sets the resurrection in motion, but here's the tension: betrayal hurts deeply, and if you don't process that pain correctly, it morphs into bitterness. Bitterness is betrayal's residue. It clings to your mind, poisons your heart, and clouds your ability to see clearly. It tells you to shut everyone out. It whispers that no one can be trusted. It feeds your ego by replaying the offense and demanding revenge. But while you're nurturing that bitterness, your destiny quietly slips into delay. Bitterness is a weight that slows your forward movement. It doesn't just keep you angry. It keeps you small. That's why how you respond to betrayal matters. You may not have chosen what happened, but you can absolutely choose what comes next. You can either build a wall around your heart or build a foundation under your future. When you choose to let betrayal become a builder rather than a breaker, something powerful happens. You begin to transform. You realize that the betrayal exposed more than just someone's disloyalty. It revealed the areas where your identity was too wrapped up in their approval. It showed you where you placed trust in people instead of in purpose. It taught you discernment. It made you more prayerful, more focused, and more intentional. That's what growth looks like. It's painful, but it's purifying. The fire of betrayal may have burned away the comfort, but it also revealed the gold. Now you lead with authenticity. You speak from experience. You no longer need to impress, because you've already survived what was meant to destroy you. That's what happens when you choose destiny over bitterness. One of the most dangerous lies betrayal tells you is that you must now live guarded, hard-hearted, and emotionally numb. That's not strength. That's survival mode. True strength is keeping your heart soft in a hard world. It's choosing to trust again even after trust was broken. It's choosing to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you refuse to carry the weight of their failure into your future. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's warfare. It breaks the cycle. It says, you may have tried to break me, but I will not allow you to define me. It takes supernatural maturity to respond to betrayal with forgiveness, but that maturity is what births destiny. When you respond correctly, betrayal becomes a blessing in disguise. It pushed you out of what was familiar and into what was ordained. Some of the greatest doors in your life will open only after you've walked through the valley of betrayal. Because once you survive that, you become unshakable. You no longer need validation. You no longer live to be liked. You understand that purpose is often lonely before it becomes fruitful. And when you finally step into your season, you don't need to explain how you got there. The fruit speaks for itself. That's the best kind of revenge. Not success born from spite, but destiny fulfilled from a place of healing. Betrayal may have written a chapter in your story, but it doesn't get to write the conclusion. That's your job, so don't shrink from betrayal. Don't let it turn your heart cold or your vision blurry. Process it, grieve it, but then grow through it. Let it teach you, not trap you. Let it stretch you, not stop you. Destiny is not for the faint-hearted. It is for those who endure the pain without becoming it. You don't get to your calling without crossing the battlefield of betrayal. But when you do, you come out refined. Your discernment sharpens, your vision clears, and your faith deepens. Betrayal took something from you, yes, but it also gave you something, a new level of clarity, resilience, and spiritual authority. You are not the betrayal, you are not the lies, you are not the rejection, you are what survives, you are what grows, you are what rises. So the next time betrayal knocks the wind out of your soul, take a deep breath, stand tall, and remember, bitterness is a trap, but destiny is a decision. And your future is too big to be built on broken pieces. Use them as a foundation, not a fortress. Let the pain push you, not paralyze you. The betrayal may have surprised you, but it never surprised God. And He's already written a redemption that far outweighs the wound. Now rise. There's destiny on the other side of this. Every wound is a classroom. Don't leave without the lesson every wound you've experienced, whether physical, emotional, or psychological, is a lesson waiting to be learned. It doesn't matter how deep the wound is or how long it takes to heal. Within it lies a lesson that, if you're willing to learn, can shape the rest of your life. Pain is not just a random occurrence. It's a divine classroom where the teacher is resilience and the syllabus is personal growth. The problem, however, is that many people never stay long enough in the classroom to absorb the lesson. They rush through the pain, numb themselves to it, or simply move on without understanding the wisdom hidden within the hurt. This is why many repeat the same patterns and face similar struggles in different seasons of life. The reality is that every wound you have, no matter how devastating it may seem at the time, is trying to teach you something essential for your growth, purpose, and transformation. The first thing you must understand is that wounds are not just external. They are also internal. External wounds are the cuts, bruises, and scars that we can see. But the internal wounds are the ones that often leave the deepest marks. These are the wounds caused by betrayal, abandonment, rejection, failure, and disappointment. They hurt because they cut to the core of our identity and self-worth. But these wounds are not simply there to hurt you, they are there to heal you. Think about the times in your life when you experienced pain. How did it change you? Did it leave you bitter and closed off, or did it leave you wiser, more compassionate, more resilient? It's all about how you respond. A wound can either become a scar that you wear with pride or a scar that keeps you stuck in the past. That decision lies within you. The key to healing from any wound is not to run from it, but to face it head on and allow it to teach you. Every painful experience offers insight into who you are, who you were, and who you are becoming. Pain forces you to look within and question everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world around you. It's in these moments of vulnerability that you begin to uncover what's truly important. Wounds expose areas in your life that need attention, healing, and growth. They uncover where you've placed false hope, misplaced trust, or given your power away to things and people that didn't deserve it. If you rush through the pain or try to avoid it altogether, you miss the lesson. The classroom is designed for you to sit, reflect, and learn. If you don't, the pain will keep repeating itself in different forms until you finally get the message. Think of it this way: each wound has its own unique lesson. Betrayal teaches you discernment and strengthens your ability to set boundaries. Rejection teaches you resilience and the importance of self-validation. Failure teaches you humility and the ability to rise after falling. Disappointment teaches you patience and the power of persistence. Every single wound you've endured is there to equip you with the tools you need to move forward with greater wisdom, strength, and clarity. It's not just about surviving the pain, it's about understanding why the pain came and how it can refine you. The truth is, life is constantly teaching us, but many of us fail to listen. We're too busy trying to avoid pain or suppress it to hear what it's trying to say. But if we can learn to embrace the discomfort of our wounds, We open ourselves up to growth in ways we never imagined. The problem comes when we identify ourselves with our wounds. We often define ourselves by what happened to us, by the betrayal we suffered, the rejection we faced, or the failure we experienced. We wear these wounds like a badge of honor, or worse, like a scarlet letter of shame. But your wounds are not your identity. They are merely experiences that can help you evolve into a better version of yourself. When you refuse to let go of the past and allow the wounds to heal, you keep yourself chained to a story that no longer serves you. That's why the classroom of pain is not just about enduring the wound. It's about letting it go once the lesson has been learned. If you keep holding on to the hurt, you're not allowing yourself to move forward. Instead, you're reliving the same cycle over and over again, missing out on the opportunity for real transformation. Learning from your wounds requires self-awareness and emotional intelligence. It means being honest with yourself about what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and what the source of the pain is. This is not an easy process. It requires vulnerability and courage, the courage to face the raw, uncomfortable truths about yourself and your life. But it's also a powerful process, because once you begin to see your wounds through the lens of growth, you start to realize that every experience, good or bad, has purpose. Every person who came into your life and every person who left was a part of the greater picture that's been designed for you. They were all part of the curriculum, the lessons, and the shaping of who you are meant to be. Even the ones who hurt you the most, though their actions were painful, were still a part of the refining process that God, life, or the universe uses to prepare you for something greater. But what happens when you finally grasp the lesson? When you finally understand the message behind the pain, that's when the true healing begins. Healing isn't just about getting over something. It's about transcending it. It's about looking back at the wound with gratitude for the lesson it gave you and using that knowledge to empower your future. The lesson from every wound you've suffered is a tool for your next season. It equips you with strength, wisdom, and clarity so that when the next challenge arises, you're better prepared to face it. You'll approach life with a different perspective, no longer as a victim of your circumstances, but as a victor who has learned from each trial and emerged stronger. You become a living testimony that your wounds didn't destroy you, they prepared you. One of the most powerful things you can do in life is learn how to turn your wounds into wisdom. When you begin to see every experience, every pain, every betrayal as a lesson, you stop being defined by what's happened to you. Instead, you become defined by how you've grown because of it, and that growth is your true power. The strength you gain from understanding your wounds and allowing them to teach you is a strength that no one can take from you. It is a power that is rooted in resilience, clarity, and self-awareness. So, the next time you face a wound, whether it's a new one or an old one that still hurts, don't just let it break you. Don't just brush it off or bury it deep inside. Sit with it, reflect on it, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What lesson is embedded in this pain? What do I need to learn to grow? And once you've learned it, let go of the wound. Heal from it, not just in body, but in mind and spirit. That's how you turn your wounds into stepping stones for your future, because ultimately every wound is a classroom, and in every classroom there is a lesson. The question is, will you stay long enough to learn it? Transformation is the highest form of revenge. Become the person they never expected. Revenge is a concept that has been romanticized, celebrated, and often misunderstood in our world. It's easy to think of revenge as the ultimate payback, the act of making those who wronged us feel the weight of their actions. The movies tell us that revenge is sweet, a satisfying ending where the wrongdoers receive their due and the victim finds closure. But in reality, revenge is not sweet, it's toxic. It does not heal, it only perpetuates the cycle of pain. What's more, revenge never truly satisfies, because it keeps you tied to the very people and situations that caused you harm. In fact, revenge doesn't make you powerful. It makes you small, focused on the past instead of the future. The greatest form of revenge, the most profound, powerful, and transformative act you can take, is to rise above the pain, the offense, and the hurt, and transform into the person they never expected you to become. Imagine for a moment the person who wronged you, whether it was a betrayal by a friend, a lie from a partner, or a professional setback caused by the actions of others. The world may tell you that revenge is the way to deal with the hurt. But consider this: if you seek to destroy someone in return, you're allowing them to control your life. They've already hurt you once. Don't let them hurt you a second time by draining your energy with thoughts of vengeance. True strength lies in transformation. The highest form of revenge is to let go of the desire to retaliate and use that energy to reinvent yourself. When you choose to rise above the situation, you transform into something greater, something that those who hurt you never saw coming. They may have expected you to break, to become bitter, or to give up on your dreams. But what they didn't expect was for you to rise stronger, more focused, and more determined than ever before. This is where true power lies. Transformation begins with the decision to stop living in reaction to what happened to you and to start living proactively for what's ahead. It requires a shift in mindset, from being a victim to becoming a victor. The victim mindset is obsessed with the past, with the injustice, the betrayal, and the hurt. It keeps your eyes fixed on what was done to you and traps you in a loop of anger and resentment. But the victor mindset focuses on what you can become. It looks ahead, not behind. It recognizes that every obstacle, every betrayal, every challenge is a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. When you choose to transform, you step into your power. You stop being defined by what happened to you, and you begin defining yourself by how you choose to respond. The world may think it has defined you by your wounds, but you have the power to redefine yourself by your growth. Transformation is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, the version you were always meant to be. It's about using the pain you've experienced as fuel for your growth. Every time someone betrays you or lets you down, you have an opportunity to become more. Every time life knocks you down, you have the chance to rise higher than before. Transformation is about shifting your focus from the negativity around you to the potential within you. It's about letting go of who you were supposed to be based on others' expectations and embracing who you were always meant to become. And that person is stronger, wiser, more compassionate, and more resilient. That person understands that the past does not dictate the future, and that your destiny is greater than the hurt you've endured. When you choose transformation over revenge, you choose a path of healing, elevation, and purpose. Revenge keeps you tied to the wrongdoer. It keeps you emotionally invested in their actions and in their narrative. Transformation, however, frees you. It gives you the freedom to focus on your own story, to rewrite your own narrative. No longer will you be defined by the betrayal, the offense, or the failure. Instead, you will be known by your ability to rise above those things, to take the lessons from your wounds and turn them into wisdom. You will be known by the light you carry, the love you give, and the strength you display. And here's the most powerful part. When you transform, you stop seeking approval from the people who hurt you. You no longer need their validation. Your worth is no longer tied to their opinions of you. You find your validation within yourself, in your ability to keep going despite the odds. This is the real power. when you no longer let anyone's actions define your worth, but you define it for yourself. Transformation also demands that you forgive not for their sake, but for yours. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of freedom. When you forgive, you break the chains that bind you to the past. You release the grip that anger, bitterness, and resentment have on your heart. You let go of the desire to get even, and you free yourself to move forward. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget what was done, nor does it mean you excuse the wrong. It means you choose not to let it control you anymore. It means you choose to transform, to evolve into a person who is not ruled by the past, but shaped by the future. The process of forgiveness may not happen overnight, but with time it becomes a powerful catalyst for your personal transformation. Consider the people who have truly inspired you, the great leaders, the trailblazers, the game changers. What you'll often find is that their power came not from seeking revenge, but from seeking purpose. They didn't let their pain become their prison. Instead, they used it as a stepping stone to build something far greater. Think of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison not to seek revenge, but to find a way to heal a broken nation. Think of Oprah Winfrey, who rose from a troubled past to become one of the most influential women in the world. They didn't let their pain define them, they transformed it, and in doing so, they became forces of change, inspiration, and legacy. Your transformation is a ripple effect. It doesn't just impact you, it impacts everyone around you. When you transform, you set an example. You show others what's possible. You demonstrate that it's not the hand you're dealt that matters, but how you play it. Your transformation becomes the living proof that no matter how painful life gets, you can always rise again, and this is the ultimate revenge, not revenge against the people who hurt you, but revenge against the lie that says you have to stay stuck in your pain. You prove that the world does not get to dictate your destiny. You do. The most beautiful thing about transformation is that it never ends. The person you become is always evolving, growing, and expanding. Every setback, every hardship, every betrayal is an opportunity to grow even stronger. You don't just recover from pain, you transcend it. And when you transcend it, you become a beacon of hope for others who are still struggling in their pain. You show them what's possible. You inspire them to rise, to transform, and to become the people they were always meant to be. And in that, you create a legacy far greater than any act of revenge could ever produce. So, if you're sitting in the ashes of your past today, wondering how you can rise above the pain, remember this. Transformation is the highest form of revenge. Don't waste your energy on getting even. Invest it in becoming the person you were always meant to be, the person who not only survived the pain, but was made stronger by it. That is the most powerful revenge. That is the victory.